Hey! You are listening to the Grumpy Guy BJJ Podcast.
Hey, what's up, guys? Got to take care of a few things before we jump into this week's episode. First, our Ramping Isometrics for BJJ program. It is a 12-week program, all laid out for you. It's going to help you build strength and cardio in the fastest, safest, and most convenient way possible. This is how James and I have been training for the past year, and we love it. So we put this program together so you can just follow along, and we are certain you will see and feel the benefits that we do. It's only $15. Just go to grumpyguybjj.com, click the drop-down menu in the upper right-hand corner, and you'll find it. Next, R3. This is our K2 D3 supplement. It is a combination of those two vitamins, D3 and K2. These are two vitamins that James and I have been taking for a long time that really help us recover from hard training sessions. And for only $15 with free shipping, you get a whole month supply. I was going to pull up some studies explaining the benefits of D3 and K2, but I'm not going to insult your intelligence and pretend to be a fucking scientist. I take it. It helps me recover. That's it. So for $15, check it out. And last but certainly not least, we have partnered up with Jiu-Jitsu.com. They have a ton of awesome BJJ instructionals, and they have hooked us up with a discount code for our listeners. It's Grumpy10. So what you got to do is you go to Jiu-Jitsu.com, which is DIGITSU.com. Find the instructionals you want, throw them in a shopping cart. In the little discount code box, you type in Grumpy10, which is just GRUMPY and the number 10, 10. That's it, no spaces. Boom, you get 10% off. You're up and running. They got a nice app you can download on your phone. That way you can take your instructionals right to the gym with you, watch the technique, drill it. It's a pretty sweet setup. So once again, DIGITSU.com. Discount code Grumpy10, GRUMPY10. Simple as that. To find all this stuff I just got done talking about, go to our website, grumpyguybjj.com. Click the drop-down menu in the upper right-hand corner. There, you'll subscribe to our newsletter for podcast updates. You'll find links for the Ramping Isos program, the R3 Recovery Supplement, and then under the Programs and Products tab, you'll find a link to Jiu-Jitsu.com. And let's be honest, if you guys can't figure out how to navigate a website by now, there's nothing I can do to help you. So quit fucking around, check it out, train hard, and let's get into this week's episode. And boom.
Okay.
Here we are.
I
I can move this over now that Akka moved.
Back to our fortnightly
podcast.
Last week we went and shot guns.
We did.
That was fun as shit, dude.
We went and shot shotguns.
Yes. Yeah. Shot some trap.
Yep.
Never done that before.
Yeah, a lot of people haven't. Like, a lot of people, you know, you tell them to go shoot trap or skeet or clay, they just kind of put all those into one. As
yeah, I didn't
clay
know the
pigeon.
difference.
Well, they don't realize, like, the sport of it.
Yeah.
You know, the rules, so to speak.
Right.
You know, the etiquette. Because a lot of people hear about it and think about it, and then it's usually just going out into the desert or the field, and one buddy has the gun, the other buddy's got the clay pigeons, the boxing, and you send them flying out there. Or you have the kick trap where you kick it and send it out. And so, yeah, it's in like, so I remember you said, you're like, oh, I didn't, because we get up there, and you got the trap house, and you got to get in there and get all the microphones, or the speakers out. You know, and set all that and connect everything. You know, so it's a little, because it's called 5 stand. You got 5 stations you shoot from. And so, I mean, now when you see it, it all makes sense. You're like, oh yeah. Like, okay, this all makes perfect sense.
Right.
But until you see it, like, it's, for me to explain that to you,
yeah,
without seeing it, you're like,
I can get a vague idea, but like, seeing it, it's like, oh, okay. Yeah, but yeah, you're right. I had no idea. The speaker thing, and we keep calling them speakers, but they're microphones.
Microphones, yeah.
But
they look like speakers.
They
look like speakers.
I know. Yeah. I keep calling them speakers because they look like it.
But they're technically microphones.
Yeah, so you're pulling these things out, and I'm wondering, like, dude, what the fuck are these speakers for? Like, is this part of the deal? Like, they're gonna, like, randomly fucking honk noise at you or something? Or what is going on? So, yeah, but having the microphones there so you could just say pull, and then the machine would do it was pretty sweet. And again, I never thought about it, but you're right. Like, from a competition aspect, like, that's what's going to happen. Like, you're going to say pull, right? Like, it's up to you to say pull so you can shoot when you're ready.
Correct.
And so, yeah, you going out there and not being able to mimic that if you don't have a buddy to do it, isn't technically training for trap shooting.
Exactly.
And so that makes sense. But yeah, they had a bunch of boxes. There's some people that take their trap shooting very seriously.
Yeah. I'm just getting started. Man, I really like it. I mean, it's one of those things, being new to something and not good at it.
Right.
So I have a lot of room for growth.
Yeah.
And it's addicting. Yeah. Because you start breaking a few of them, you're like, oh.
Yeah.
And you'll get into these little zones. Like, I've only sniffed it. And it's similar to jiu-jitsu, to where you kind of have this little out-of-body experience, man, to where you just, in the rhythm, you just pull, bang, boom, boom, pull, bang, boom. And you just... And yeah, but I mean, it's very fleeting for me. Because, like, for example, I'm on a trap shooting league. I go out on Tuesday nights and shoot. And I didn't do very good. I just got my gun back from the gunsmith, so I got it fitted. So it's fitting me a little bit better. And so I'm just getting used to that. And I shot an 18 the first round, and then 17 the second round, I think. Because you shoot your first round from where we were shooting, that 16-yard line, and then they could figure a handicap. Then we had to move back to the 22-yard line or something.
Jesus Christ.
And we had to shoot from there. And I only got 17, which in the first week at leagues I did better. I did like 22 and 18, which still in like the trap world is not good. Like if you're not getting 23, 24, 25, like you're trash. You're not winning anything. Yeah,
the margin for error at the top of any shooting discipline is just like,
if you miss one, you're
exactly. Yeah.
So no, it's not bad. Like I got to get used to my gun, but man, it sure is fun. I dig it.
So. It is fun. Yeah, it was interesting, man. Yeah, we had that first round. I was like, man, what the fuck? We couldn't figure out. I knew something was off. I was missing them. And then we had that conversation, and you talked about keeping your eyes more level with the horizon.
Yep.
And it makes total sense. That's how your brain is set to, take in the environment. So you tilt your head too much to put your cheek on the stock, and you change your orientation, and it's like going to the ground. That's why people have so much trouble with jiu-jitsu. We're so used to our eyes being on the horizon and orienting ourselves with our environment that way, that when you go to the ground and all of a sudden that orientation is different, that's what fucks people up. That whole the ground is an ocean and I'm a shark and most people don't even know how to swim kind of thing. But yeah, as soon as you tilt the head and you disorient the field of view, then it's gonna fuck things up. So keeping that straight was made a lot of difference. So
and there's something primal about when you bust a bird.
Yeah,
you hit a clay pigeon out there. You're like, oh, that was fun, and then you just want to keep going. So.
Yeah. I know. I want to do it again because it was. I got to do it again because the first time you're just like, what the fuck am I doing?
It's sensory overload.
Yeah, like even when I'm hitting stuff, I'm like, I don't know what's going on. I can't really. Like, I don't feel like I'm owning any part of this experience right now. This is just me, like, beginner's luck. And it's fun, but it's like, all right, I got to go and dig into it a little bit.
That's exactly a very similar experience. So a couple years back, the first time I went with my brother, down in Texas, and I had barely ever shot a shotgun in my life. I can't even remember prior to that. I may have, a couple times as a kid.
Yeah.
And so... Noob. And my brother was pretty new to it, and one of his buddies came with us, and he was kind of like our mentor, showing us. And we didn't shoot like actual trap. What we did, we had a launcher, and he was just giving us a lesson and launching them out there. And the same thing happened. Like I was out there just killing it, shooting right-handed, because I usually shoot left-handed, but I was shooting left-handed, shooting right-handed, just fucking hit. And we were shooting doubles. We were throwing 2 out at a time, just because apparently this is what this guy wanted to do. And I was hitting a lot, and I was like, oh fuck, I'm a pro at this. And so I think there's probably a lot of people that have that experience. Guys like us that are fairly, like, we can pick up a lot of things and do them decently. Just from our physical attributes and just years of doing shit, hand-eye coordination. And so, but yeah, you get this skewed view of
picking it up and repeating it are two different things, man. Yeah, I know. Yeah. That's why
I think you're like, if it's something you stick with, like, you'll do good. You'll pick up fast.
Sure. For sure.
Yeah, it'll ebb and flow.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, that was but that was fun, man. I hadn't shot shotguns before, so getting to go out there and shoot a bunch of clay pigeons, and then the turkey round there at the end was was a thing.
Yeah, he had experience with shooting a heavier load out of the end of that gun.
See why you don't want to miss, man. You don't want to have to fucking shoot. Your story of going out there and shooting in the desert with the fucking turkey loads and being like, man.
Yeah,
how do you do it? How do people shoot 25 plus of these things?
Yeah, because so my most experience with a shotgun was with my brother a couple years ago, and we were shooting target loads, and we shot a bunch of birds that day. So back in March or April when I bought my first shotgun, that Remington 870, I didn't buy target loads. I hadn't really thought about getting into trap shooting. This gun was just a multi-purpose home protection. If I want to get into hunting, gun, like an all-purpose gun. I was like, well, I need to go shoot this thing, right? I need to be good with it. So I went out to the desert, and I had bought turkey load because it was when I bought my gun, it was basically turkey season, and so that was the most readily available ammo at the store.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, I'll just fucking buy turkey load. And I'm buying this just to shoot a method that comes into my house, basically. Right. Like when you really want to get down to it.
A turkey, I'll shoot him.
Yeah. And so I just bought a bunch of turkey load. I was like, well, let's go out to the desert and shoot this thing. Holy fuck, man! The first time I put a slug in there and pulled the trigger, and that thing kicked, I was like, dude, this is not like shooting my brothers. I was like, why? Have I turned into a pussy in 2 years? Like, why is this just wrecking my shoulder? So I went out there. I was like, no, maybe I'm just holding the gun wrong. Let's really focus down, see what I'm doing here. Bang! Fuck! So I shot like 17 rounds that day. I was like, I'm done. And
dude.
I was a little discouraged. I'm like, man, why? I was like, because my brother had a semi-automatic.
Shoot 17 methods. If there were 18, I'd be fucked.
I was like, dude, I did not want to shoot anymore, and I didn't understand why it was kicking so much more. Then I was like, is it the gun? I was like, because I just got that 870 pump. The gun I shot with my brother was a nice semi-automatic. Semi-automatics tend to take a little bit of kick off it, but we were shooting trap load and target load, and so in my inexperience, I just didn't know. But I stayed committed. I went and bought some target load, went out to the trap club, and I was like, oh yeah, I can shoot this thing all day long.
Yeah.
Target load's no big deal.
Yeah, it's definitely.
And you fucking put it 500 rounds a day, and you might feel a little bit. But
yeah. It's funny, man. I could feel it a little bit when from shooting and just like first time shooting. And then, and then we went and shot that turkey load, and I was like, "Damn, fuck yeah!" Whatever I thought I was feeling, like I'm definitely feeling now.
You'll feel that even just shooting one or two turkey loads, or slugs or something, buckshot. Yeah, you'll feel that for a couple days.
Yeah, I'm sure it's like anything else. You get hardened to it a little bit, but it's not going to be the same. That's why they got target loads.
Yeah, you're getting kicked in the shoulder.
yeah, man. You're trying to fucking shoot something out the other end hard enough to kill something. You got to put the other end against something. It's like your shoulder's the wedge.
Yep, your shoulder's a wedge. And
yeah.
Pull the trigger and it's gonna kick. You got an explosion going off 6 inches from your face. Like,
I know.
It's.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it's fun. I really like it. It's a good hobby for me.
Cool, yeah. I talked to Kiele about going out there. She said she'd be interested in going out.
We should take her out there. Yeah. Angela's getting into it. Angela didn't do too bad. She's on the league with me. It's good practice for her because this carries over to jiu-jitsu too because she has trouble with the mental aspect of jiu-jitsu, like competing. Like basically, whenever she competes, she just like mentally melts down and fucking can't remember how to do anything.
Right.
And that happened the first night because we went out there. We shoot a lot of practice rounds. We go out like once a week and shoot a practice round.
Yeah.
Or two. Shoot quite a few actually. And then leagues on Tuesday night, and she got out there and just melted down. Like when we're out there practicing. I mean, she'll shoot in the 15s, roughly 15 out of 25, which isn't bad for getting started. And dude, I think you shoot 2 rounds on league night, and then she hit like 3 the first round and 4 the second one, and she was super discouraged, And so we get out there this Tuesday. It was the second night of leagues, and we got out there early and shot some practice rounds to get the jitters out a little bit. So I figured that helps, and it helps me. And the first round, she still kind of melted down a little bit, and I was like, listen, it doesn't matter how good you do. We're doing this for fun.
Yeah.
I was like, if you're not having fun, there's no point in fucking doing this. Who cares if you hit 0 or if you hit 25? I was like, I know you do. I know that was damn, but you got to just, and every time you pull the trigger, that's done and gone into the ether. Like, you have a chance to redeem yourself the next time. Like, you get a do-over every time. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, don't keep a running score. Just think about it each bird that comes out of the house. That's it. Just try to do your best shot each time and just redo it. Like, if you miss it, you allow yourself 1 second to, fuck, I missed. and then just you're on to the next one. Think about your setup. Think about everything. And so she did, but I think she got like 14 or 15 in the second round. So she did quite a bit better.
That is better, yeah.
But I think it's just good mental training for her.
There's nothing training for competition like competing.
Exactly.
And that's the hard thing with jiu-jitsu is it's hard to compete like really consistently at it. Mm-hmm. So that's why people that have some sort of competition background coming into jiu-jitsu, like, I did track, a lot different, but it's like, man, I ran a bunch of meets. Like, man, and, you would run a dual meet against another school every week, and you'd have the big meets at the end of the year, and just that getting exposed to having to deal with just the pressure and the mind fuck.
And all it is that extra little word, competition.
That's it.
Like, we're shooting this league. Dude, it's a recreational league.
Yeah.
Matters fuck all. You know what I mean? I don't know if the team even wins a t-shirt or anything. Like, I have no idea. Like, there's probably just a dinner at the end of the 10 weeks or something. Like, there's nothing.
Yeah.
And I was like, there's no... But it's called a league. There's a scorekeeper out there, so you're not keeping track of yourself. They got somebody...
different, yeah.
It's a little different.
Competition's a different thing.
And it's a cool scene up there because there's like 30 teams. They limited it to 30 teams this time because of the pandemic bullshit. But there's just, they're set up on 15 or 12 different trap houses. So it just, and there's 5 people on each team, so it just bang, 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 bang. There's guns going off all over. There's a lot of shit going on. There's scorekeepers, so it's good. It's you're getting desensitized to those nerves, those competition nerves.
Yeah. No, that's the hardest thing.
Performing under pressure.
Yeah, is those nerves, man. Yeah. So it's funny. I actually got what was it? This came in my last BJJ box. The fuck's it called? Who's this guy? The BJJ mental coach. You heard of him?
Gustavo Dantas. Yeah, I've heard of this guy.
Yeah. So he's got a program basically. That's exactly what it's geared for. Is like dealing with competition mindset, and that's what it is. That's the funny thing is like competition has much less to do with the physical side than the mental side.
Yep.
Like the physical side's there. It's the mental side. And that's why like when you're trying to train for competition, that's what you're trying to train. You're not trying to train the physical side. And that's where people get fucked up because they think like, oh, if I work really hard and I'm training the physical side really hard, that is competition training. It's like, no, man, you got to put yourself in the similar situations. And we've talked about this a lot. Like, it's not easy to do, but really, if you're trying to train to compete for jiu-jitsu and you think about what's a competition for jiu-jitsu, it's like, well, I got, 1 round, people are watching, and then you got a ref, and then I get a break and it's intermittent, how long it's going to be, and then I got to do it again. And so as close as you can get to doing that, the better. Because it just exposes you to that different type. Rolling for 5 minutes when there's, 10 other people on the mat and then slapping hands and then, 60 seconds later doing it again. Like, man, that's hard in its own right.
But it's not,
mentally, it's not the same thing.
Not at all.
Not at all.
Not at all. You're going to get your physical conditioning in check.
Yep.
But as far as the mental side, it's nowhere near preparing you for that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why the top teams have competition teams because it is a different thing. And the normal person who's coming in to train jiu-jitsu really doesn't want to do that.
Right.
That's not what he's there for. But if you're a competitor, like there's a certain element of like you have to train that mental side, and that's fucking hard. It's uncomfortable because that's how competition is. So, but it's like I said, it's hard to do that with jiu-jitsu because you just can't compete. That's why guys who wrestled, but even if they're like, it fucking cracks me up, man. I had a guy come in, he's had his first class on Thursday, and he's one of those guys like, oh man, I wrestled in high school, but that was like 10 years ago. And it's just like, dude, shut the fuck up. Like, you have no clue what that is worth. Mm-hmm. You need to not be cocky. Like, I appreciate that, but like that is worth so much. Like mat time, competition, performing under pressure, just knowing what it's like to, be uncomfortable with someone else putting pressure on you. Like, dude, all those things are so valuable. And even if they were 10 years ago, man, they're there.
They're there.
They're baked into your fucking, DNA on some level. So it's, those things help. But yeah, if you haven't had that chance, and that's one of the things, like, a lot of girls, especially, Angela's age, they didn't have the opportunities to compete. So, like Kelly didn't have a lot of competition experience. She's competed a little bit surfing, but not much at all. It was just mainly doing it for fun. And so, having things that give you the chance to expose yourself to that mental pressure helps.
Dude, it's so good, not just for competing, just for life.
Yeah.
Being able to perform under pressure, or like when you get yourself into a stressful situation in life, and you feel this physiological response.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I've been here before. Like, okay, I know how to handle this. Why am I thinking? Well, first of all, like if it's just in normal life, you're like, okay, why am I reacting this way? Am I blowing something up that doesn't need to be blown up? And then no, this is a serious situation. It's good that I'm heightened, but I've been here. I don't have to panic. And that's where I see,
or even if you haven't been there, panicking, from experience that panicking ain't gonna help.
Right. And that's where I see it in day-to-day life, just at work. I work with several guys that just kind of like melt down under pressure, just from like the stress of the day, just getting their deliveries done. Just, there's any time you're doing a job, you want to do good, so you have this added pressure on it. And I see certain guys just fucking melt down. And I'm like, oh, you've never competed in anything in your life. Like, you were putting a lot of weight on this. And you see it. Like, oh man, competition in sports for kids is so good. So good for adults. Even if you didn't do it as a kid, it's not like all hope is lost. I mean, you can still get out there and do shit like jiu-jitsu, like trap shooting. You can find, avenues to make yourself a little uncomfortable.
Have to circle a date on the calendar and put some pressure on yourself to show up and perform. Yeah. And I mean, really, perform doesn't mean win.
No. Just showing up's the toughest part.
Yeah. Stepping on the mat is like in slapping hands and...
Because you find 1,000,001 excuses. I still do, like... I grew up, man. I started karate when I was 5 years old. And I was doing karate tournaments, where you do kados and you do sparring from the age of 5 until 12 or something, 13. And then, all the different sports I played as a kid, and then martial arts again in my adulthood. But still, you still get a little nervous in competition.
Yeah.
Going into a tournament, like when we're training for Masters Worlds or even Fight to Wins, hopefully they have those again one day.
Right.
But you still get nervous, and your brain tries to find outs.
Oh yeah.
Weeks leading out. Like, oh, am I hurt? Or this, like you fight. But once you get there, it's not that. But once you slap hands and get out there, you're like, okay.
Yeah.
I was making such a big deal.
It's the lead up to it.
It's the lead. That's the worst fucking part, man.
Yeah.
Worst part, and you just got to learn to keep it together during those stages.
Yep. Yeah. No, it's so true. But it is, man. He calls it the dark passenger. You call it your inner bitch. It's that fucking voice that tries to help you find that excuse.
Yep.
Tries to tell you that, like, oh yeah, no, it's okay. You got this excuse, or just so many things, man. Like that little voice will fuck you over. And that's really like with competition at its key, man. You got to be fucking zen. You have to not listen to those voices. Like the monkey mind, that's what screws you over. And that's what makes competition so hard, is because that monkey mind's enhanced because you have this extra thing on it. And so you've given this little voice in your head extra fuel, like extra things to talk about. So you have to try even harder to not tune in and not focus and let it go. And it's not easy, and it takes practice, and everybody has to do it. It's totally natural. It's that old thing, man. Like being brave isn't not being afraid. It's
it's what you do with it.
Yeah, it's feeling afraid is normal. Mm-hmm. So it's what do you do with it? I mean, feeling afraid is normal unless you're Alex Honnold. He's not normal. His brain's different. Normal, yeah. So, but yeah, no, it's a normal thing, and yeah, finding avenues. Which, interestingly, trap shooting was one that, until a few months ago I never would have thought of. But yeah, that'd be fun. That'd
be fun. I want to get you and Kelly out there.
Yeah.
See, Kelly likes it, and I'm glad you're liking it, because my goal, it's not so secret goal. I want to get you hooked on it. Come out there and shoot with me, and
do a league sometime.
Do a league or something.
That'd be fun, man.
They do a couple leagues a year. They do the summertime league, and I think they do a fall/winter league.
Yeah.
It's fun. And that way you can, I let you shoot that 870. That 870 is a good gun, man. Just a good all-purpose. That's like Remington's tried and true fucking 12 gauge pump shotgun, man.
Man, I like that. I had zero complaints about it. Like when you were like, do you want to try my nice one? And I'm glad I did, because there's definitely a difference. But to be honest with you, it wasn't like I was like, oh yeah, like there was a part of me that was almost like, nah, you know, you did good with this. Like this thing was good. I liked it. And then, but I was there more for the experience.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, your nice gun's fucking nice. But I had zero complaints about that.
No, that is
Remington.
And that's what I was shooting at first. And I still take it out there and shoot it just because I want to keep rounds through it and be comfortable with it. But dude, that is there's like 10 million of those in circulation. That's like one of the most popular guns. So it's super easy to repair and work on and clean. Dude, you could take that thing and dig a hole with it and then pick it up and fucking shoot something if you had to. Like, it is just a robust, all-around gun. It's a really nice gun. And it's cheap. Out the door, taxes and everything. I think I paid like $420 for it. Yeah. $427, I think, was these guys. And that's, under $500 for a good gun. That all-purpose, you can protect your home with it. You can go hunting with it. You can go trap shooting with it.
Yeah. What's a round of the trap rounds? Or what's a box of the trap rounds run?
Again, there's always spectrums. You can get retarded with it if you want.
I'm sure.
But that's one that is an expensive hobby. The average ones I buy are basically $5.50.
Okay.
For 25 rounds.
Yeah.
I buy them in a case.
Yeah.
You buy a case of what is it? It's 10 boxes to a case. Right? Does that seem right? Yeah, that's about right. It's because it's roughly $50 a big. They call it a flat. It's roughly $50 a flat.
Cool.
So I buy them by the case.
Yeah, that's not bad.
No, it's not bad. Basically, in the shoot around a trap, you got to buy those cones, the coins, the tokens, to put in the machine. That way, you can operate the trap.
How much do those cost?
$5 a round.
So it's like $10 a
round. About basically $11 a round.
Yeah.
Every time you go out there and shoot a full round of trap, 25 birds.
Yeah.
It costs you $11. Huh. Basically.
Yeah.
So it's not the cheapest sport.
It's not a cheap sport. It's not. Yeah.
It's not like mountain biking's expensive, but once you buy your shit, you're good. You don't have.
Yeah.
I mean, you got your.
I don't have to buy something every time I want to go ride.
Correct.
So yeah.
But every time you go shooting, that was one because I'm kind of a cheapskate when it comes to certain things, and that's like I like guns. I've always liked guns. I just never got into them.
Yeah.
Because every time you squeeze that trigger, there's fucking dollar bills.
Yeah, I know, man.
At the end of that barrel.
Yeah.
And I couldn't get past that. But once I got, basically, I think I'm addicted to this whole trap shooting thing.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I don't see dollar bills flying out the end of the barrel anymore. Like I found a way to justify it in my brain. Like, I'm all right.
It's different once you look at it differently.
It's amazing.
Yeah, if you don't understand it, then it's always dollar bills. You look at people people probably look at jiu-jitsu.
Right.
You buy a fucking $300 gi and they're like, that's just dollar bills.
Yep.
It's like, no, it's more than that. So, but yeah, that's cool. Yeah, we definitely have to go do it again and get Keely
out there.
And do that. So
yeah, we got enough guns between the two of us, and we can have guns for everybody.
I know I gotta go get one. That's my next thing on my list. I gotta put it on my.
And Remington 870, man. That'd be my suggestion.
Yeah, I mean I had no complaints. I can just go with that. So I looked at one point at I forgot what it was, but I was looking at a 9mm. I came pretty close to getting it. I'd gone to the gun range and just tried a few different guns, and there was one that like definitely stood out as like feeling and performing better, which is what blows my mind. It's like we've been making guns for a long time. It's not like it's a fucking mystery how to make a gun that works, right? And so it really is like the level of quality and stuff in guns is interesting to me, because it seems like there's a shit ton of guns. There's a lot of different manufacturers, a lot of different guns. And again, correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like there's always a few that stand out.
Right.
It's like these are the ones that really stand out. Or if you're going to get one, you have the opportunity. This is a good one to get. And again, it's like why? Like what are they doing that's so different that these other guys can't do?
I think a lot of it boils down to, this is me being a machinist. I spent 12 years as a machinist. It goes into the tolerances. So when they're manufacturing these parts on the mills and the lathes and whatnot, they just really tighten up the tolerances. Yeah. So they pay when they hire a machine shop to make these gun components. So say you want to make a certain part for this gun. you give the machinist, a spectrum. You're like, okay, here you have plus or minus 5 thousandths, like 0.005 of an inch, to make this certain dimension.
Right, yeah.
And so the more expensive, the tighter tolerance, you're gonna be like, hey man, we want this part really good. We want it plus or minus 0.000 a tenth of an inch. Something like that. Like they just really tighten up all the tolerances.
Yeah.
And things like that, and put a little more time into the machining aspect of it.
Yeah.
To make them all functional.
Yeah. Again, I think there's probably something, especially with like the cheaper guns. Mm-hmm. So I could understand, you're paying on average around like $500 for a decent gun. Seems, give or take.
Right.
You can definitely pay way more, but it seems like that's just in the little research I've done. And so, I can see if someone's trying to sell you a $200 gun. You're like, all right. But again, that's not, you see guns that cost a decent amount, and it's like, why is this, what's so different? Again, if I got into it, it's just one of those weird curiosity things. Because, I actually remember in my 1 year of college, I had to read this book on, I can't remember what class it was in, but it was on this factory that made guns and gun parts back in the like 1800s or something like that, and like just kind of following the economic ups and downs of the gun industry, and the particular kinds of guns that they made. And so so somewhere in the back of my mind, like, making guns and kind of what goes into it on some level got planted. And so when I look at guns, I don't know why I'm like, man, why is that one, they almost cost the same, but like that one's the one that everybody wants. Like, what's the deal with that? What are they doing differently at the manufacturing level or whatever? But so anyways, guns.
Cool.
Yeah.
We're about to go out shooting again.
Yeah. Well, we will.
It's good times.
Yeah, for sure. So
the smell of gunpowder, it's nice. You get out there and hearing the bang, bang, and you smell the shells. It gets addicting pretty quick.
Fuck yeah. Oh yeah. So, any predictions for CrossFit now that they've sold?
Dude, that's crazy. I don't know that this Eric Rosa cat who bought it. I don't know who he is. He's out from Boulder.
Oh, is he?
Yeah. Well, I don't know if he's from Boulder. He lives in Boulder now.
Yeah.
I think he made a shit ton of money. God, what was it? There's like a big tech company, Oracle or some shit.
Yeah.
I think he spent some time there, some high-level dude.
That was my understanding. In all the articles and stuff, it's just portrayed as a box owner. Like some random box owner somehow came up with the money to cough up to get Glassman to sell him this. And it's like, then you read a little bit more and you're like, oh, this guy's some freaking tech, multi, probably like, 100 millionaire type guy.
Yeah, he made a shit ton of money, moved to Boulder. He only runs a CrossFit gym there just because he's bored probably.
Yeah.
Made all his money.
Fuck yeah.
He's like, oh yeah, I'll buy CrossFit. So, well, I don't know. I haven't really thought about it a whole lot.
I said that would be the only way they'd save it.
Yeah.
As long as Glassman was attached to it, he'd have to sell it.
Yeah.
I'm a little surprised he sold it. I mean, I'm not, but I wouldn't have been surprised at all if he would have just said, fuck all of you. I'm hanging on to it. If it burns to the ground, it burns to the ground. It's my fucking baby. Fuck you.
Yeah,
That wouldn't have surprised me at all.
Wouldn't have surprised me at all.
At all. I'm not surprised he sold, because when someone comes dangling, again, the details aren't clear, but it was valued at like in the billions.
Right.
And so I'm sure he got it for pennies on the dollar, but that still comes out to a lot of money, man.
Yeah, and Glassman's older, and he's like, you know what? I don't want the stress of this,
man. Yeah.
Give me my money, man.
I don't need this.
Spend the rest of my life just chilling.
Exactly. I'm going to pinch girls' asses in peace.
That's right. And I got enough money to pay for a few lawsuits.
Fuck yeah, dude. I don't mean to laugh at it, because if he's doing that stuff, he's a piece of shit. Right. He needs to treat, women with more respect. Even if you have women that have no scruples that are throwing themselves at you, because that's the thing. They
still deserve respect.
They do, but like I said, I think the problem is that you end up in this situation. Obviously, people kind of predispose this way, anyways. Like if you have, I don't know, some sort of like moral upbringing, you still don't like go as hardcore that direction. But you find yourself in this position of power, and you have women who use sex as a way for them to advance. It's not all this like men taking advantage of women. Like women take advantage of men too.
For sure.
For sure it happens, man. So it's not like all of these girls whose asses he was pinching were like, didn't want it, Like some of them were like showing him his ass and saying, you want to pinch me. You know what I mean? Like, and so, but then you start to think that all girls are like this. And so you start to treat other girls like, oh, they all want me to pinch their ass. And that's where things go off the rails. And it's like, and that's where, like, again, you know, people, you know, what is it? Was he kind of a, you know, a moral piece of, you know, trash, and this just exposed it? Or did he find himself in this unusual situation and didn't really know how to handle it? Or, you know, whatever the case may be, you know, it's that cult leader thing, man. It's so cliche. It's ridiculous.
But, dude, we're not wired to have that much money and power, man. Like,
no.
There's very, very, very few of us that can handle that properly, man.
Yeah.
That's why all these scandals come out. I mean, I think nowadays we're not surprised when this kind of shit comes out. But we're not wired to fucking have that much power and money over people, man. It's going to corrupt.
Yeah.
It's good.
It's even the people around you that it attracts. Yep. You know, because that's the thing. Because you have people around that know, oh, he's pinching chicks' butts that he shouldn't be pinching. But, like, you know,
that's just Greg.
It's just Greg, and, you know, I got this position and all this stuff. And so it's this whole thing. You know, it's not just Greg. Like, right. he's obviously, he needs to be held responsible for what he did. But to pretend that it's just him isn't it. It's like this whole...
The culture that allowed it.
Yeah, this culture that allowed it.
It's not like it was a secret.
Yeah.
It was going on. So.
Yeah. So, but anyway, somehow he ends up with a bunch of money and fucking riding off into retirement in the sunset. And this guy has got CrossFit. So
it'd be interesting. I mean, I hope for good things. Like I've said it before. I'm really impressed by all the CrossFit athletes, the high level, man. Like I get a kick out of it. Like they are impressive human beings, man.
Yeah.
And so I'd like to see it, and you know, and for these athletes that are making a living out of it, more power to them, man. And hopefully they can continue. Hopefully the sport continues to grow.
The best thing for that would be if they're able to just kind of transition back to CrossFit games and
these different competitions where these guys can earn a living doing it.
Yeah.
And we get to watch it. Like it's a win-win for everybody. So I hope that I'm optimistic, man. I hope it'll, because there's a lot of people.
I think so too.
A lot of people really like it.
Yeah.
And I have no idea who this Eric Rosa character is, but obviously he really likes CrossFit. If he's willing to pony up this large chunk of money for it, and you know, and leadership is so important. You know, I think that's a big reason why our country's so fucked up right now, is because we got shit leadership.
Yeah,
and it just filters down through everything. Speaking of that, I got a crazy prediction I'm gonna make.
Okay,
we're gonna be recorded live here, so I'm gonna make a crazy prediction. I'll get into this, but so we'll see. I mean, hopefully this guy's got good leadership skills and he can build a good environment. And that'll filter down through the whole CrossFit community and continue to grow and be good for everybody. Have a bunch of fit, healthy people out there.
Definitely think they should do a few things different. I think they should get their, again, I don't know, maybe they've changed, but, you know, get their affiliate thing under control.
Tighten that up a little bit more.
Tighten that up and, you know, have some territory for people. Because it's really kind of fucked up that you put all this time, energy, and effort into building a CrossFit gym and then somebody can just move into a fucking garage and pay the money and, you know, down the street, and it's like, oh, they're a CrossFit too. And it's like, to the consumer, it's hard for them to tell the difference between a good CrossFit gym and just a CrossFit gym. And so, I hope they take this opportunity, because it seemed like that was one of the complaints. It wasn't just Greg being, you know, an asshole. It was, you know, how the affiliates were being treated.
Yeah, it was just a free-for-all.
Yeah.
They just basically, you can use our name. Here's the requirements. You got to write us a letter, pay your fees.
Yep.
And you can use the name. You can open up a gym here, and then I can go literally a block away and open up a gym. There was no regulations on that.
Yeah.
So there's no looking out for affiliate owners to help them grow their business.
Yeah.
Most of the time when people, you know, have these chain businesses, they want each chain to be very successful.
Right.
So they put measures in place to help them be successful. And from my experience, like CrossFit really didn't have that.
No.
It was completely, you just pay us the licensing fee to use that name, and that's all we're going to give you.
Yeah.
And the rest of it is on you.
Yeah.
There was no help to help them grow their business.
Dude, I remember old Patrick when he started CrossFit Red.
Yep.
And, you know, he finally, because I was working for him when he was really starting to think about going the CrossFit route. And that's one of the reasons that I branched off and started my own gym, is because I did not want to go CrossFit. And so he started doing the CrossFit thing, and it's like way back in the day, man. This is like fucking
2007, man.
years
2008.
ago.
That's when I moved here, and that's when I was at the same gym.
Yeah.
You and I probably had worked out together at one point in time in there, you know?
So, yeah, it's funny. So, he goes and he starts CrossFit Red, puts in a bunch of money into creating a really nice gym. I think he even, flew out, the head...
Greg Glassman
came out. Yeah,
I was there. Greg Glassman came out and put on a seminar for us, like a nutrition seminar, just a regular kind of CrossFit talk type thing. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So
I met the guy firsthand.
Yeah, the heads of the fucking CrossFit come out to open it. And, dude, within months, somebody had opened up, I think it was CrossFit Junction or whatever.
Yeah, I think that was the next one.
And it was just like, well, wait a minute. And nowhere near the amount of money and time and effort spent into... starting it. It was I think it was probably one of the trainers from CrossFit Red went and just opened their own box. Mm-hmm. And I remember thinking that is fucked up, man. Where's the incentive for you to invest all this time, energy, and effort into creating a good CrossFit gym, and then which creates a good name for the CrossFit brand in the area, and then these other people can just come in and swoop in on your territory. And it just didn't seem like there was any, regulation or oversight with that. So, I mean, way back then, I remember looking at it being like, that's kind of fucked up.
Yep.
So, I hope they do fix that, because there are gyms that put in a good amount of time, energy, and effort into being good CrossFit gyms. But then, you've got these other gyms that they just got the CrossFit name slapped on it, and they're not good gyms. And, CrossFit needs to do something about that. If they really want to change their reputation in the fitness world, because it's kind of funny, in the serious fitness world, it's kind of still CrossFit's, ha ha ha, whatever, those monkeys, they hurt people. Mm-hmm. They say they don't, but they do. I mean, you know what I mean?
Yep. Yeah, I agree. Yep.
Yeah. So they've made strides to being better, but they still have this reputation as hurting people. And that's why, because you have this a bunch of gyms at the bottom that aren't very good, and they're hurting a lot of people, and they're offsetting the gyms at the top that are doing really good work and helping people. Mm-hmm. But the average, the net outcome is not necessarily positive for the brand, but the money, when you've got 1 million affiliates paying you, it's a different thing. So, that's the one thing I hope they fix. They take this opportunity to actually create some change instead of just putting a new window dressing on the same old thing.
We shall see.
So
it'll be interesting to see how it shakes out.
I think they'll be fine. I think all these gyms are going to come back and be like, oh, they're under new leadership and ownership, and they're going to be making these changes. And I'll bet he'll even reach out to them and be like, I want to personally invite you to come back and help me make the changes that need to be made.
There's a new culture. This is what we're striving for.
Yep.
You think that? I bet you that would happen.
I'd be shocked.
If it didn't happen like that.
Yeah, or how many of these gyms and athletes are gonna be holdouts and be like, no, I said fuck CrossFit and I meant fuck CrossFit. I don't really see that being the norm.
I don't see that being the case.
No.
For most. I mean, there'll be a few.
Yeah. There's no reason, because they have a community. We talked about it. Remember we talked about comparing it to the fucking foosball thing?
Yep.
Where all of a sudden this community and this whole thing just collapsed. And that's kind of where that was on the verge of. If Greg had dug his heels in, that could have been one of the possible outcomes, is that whole thing collapses and takes a while to rebuild back up to the point it is. But, I don't think anybody wanted that. If they can find some way to all come back home to the CrossFit banner and under the warm glow of the fucking Daily Wad, then that's where they want to be.
Yep.
I think that's where they really want to be. But it'll be interesting to see. But I think it was a good move to save the brand, and I think overall saving the brand is not necessarily bad. So I think you can do some good things with it. So there you go. What's your prediction, man?
So. All right, here we go.
Yes.
So I finished up reading my first book about Teddy Roosevelt. And I've just started into the second one. So it's what it is. The author's name is Edmund Morris. He wrote a 3-book series on Teddy Roosevelt. The first one is The Rise of Teddy Roosevelt. I just finished that one. Second one is, I just got that in the mail yesterday. So I just started reading it last night. It's called Theodore Rex. And that's basically... So the first book is from his childhood to the point where he becomes McKinley's vice president, and then McKinley's assassinated, and he steps into the presidency. back in 1901. And that's about where the book ends. So this book, it seems like it's going to pay. I'm just in the prologue right now. It kind of seems like it's picking up from there.
Yeah.
Okay, so first of all, man, there's some interesting, like, we've talked about before, like, history repeats itself, right?
Oh, yeah.
Well, there was some fucking shady shit. It didn't get into all the details, and I had to do a little more digging and just thought on my own. So, I don't know if you're familiar with how Teddy Roosevelt became vice president, how or why he became vice president and then ultimately president. So, he was a police... First of all, I'll just back up to the point where he got elected police commissioner in New York City back in like the 1890s, sometime 1880s, 1890s.
Yeah.
And the police department was corrupt as fuck. There was a lot of shenanigans going on.
Yeah.
So he stepped in. He didn't like corrupt people, man. We all kind of know that from what we know about Teddy Roosevelt. He stepped in and was cleaning a lot of that up, stirring up a lot of shit, man. And he did a good job there. And then from there, he went and he fought in the war over in Cuba.
Right.
You know, that's a pretty famous
Riders.
story. The Rough Riders. That basically, like, got him fucking nominated to be governor of New York.
Right.
So, boom, he comes back from the war in Cuba.
Motherfucker went over to his own personal army.
Yep.
He's like, I'm getting some action.
Yep.
I am going through the fucking army route.
Yep. Yeah,
Anyways,
I mean, he was a lot of things. He's like the assistant secretary of the Navy. Like, this guy was a pretty powerful dude.
Yeah.
Goes over there, comes back, gets to be governor. And dude, so politics in the late 1890s in New York were extremely corrupt. So a lot of the politicians were in bed with the insurance companies, and they were all just raking in the fucking money, man. And it was just getting traded back, just like nowadays.
Yeah.
You know, whether it's pharmaceutical companies or the big oil companies and the politics, like we hear about it. But this shit just happens again and again and again.
Yeah.
Well, he was getting there trying to break all this shit up because he saw it, and it was just rotten. It wasn't good for your average working citizen, and that's what he was looking out for. The regular people, you know, but the insurance companies, and like I don't know, they didn't get into all the details of the corruptness, but they were corrupt as fuck. Well, McKinley at the time was president, and his vice president Hobart his health was garbage. Like he was dying, and McKinley was going to he was up for re-election in the year 1900, and so all the powers to be basically like just forced it to happen. They nominated Teddy Roosevelt to be McKinley's running mate to get him out of the state of New York because he was disrupting this fucking flow of money between the politicians. And that's really what happened.
Yeah.
Because he didn't want it. He's like, this vice president is like a ceremonious bullshit position. He's like, I don't do anything. He likes to work. He's like, I like to fucking get in there and pass bills and fix things and work.
Yeah.
And he didn't want to be vice president. He basically got his hand forced. I would wonder, I mean, you think he's a stand-up guy and there's no hint of there ever corruption or bribery, but it makes you wonder because they basically forced his hand in one way or another and forced him into being McKinley's running mate.
Yeah.
So that's how that was really interesting. Like, oh, like they don't ever talk about that in the history. They always put a positive light on it, but I bet you there was way more shenanigans there than we're privy to. And there was a part of that book they talked about. So you got to remember, this is in 1900. So the insurance companies and the politicians, whoever was in charge at that time, basically came up with like in the neighborhood of $1 billion, which in 1900 is insane.
Yeah.
Like fucking insane. Like $1 billion nowadays, yeah, it's a lot of money, but back then, and they spent that much money trying to get him to be vice president. From committees and this and that. Like it was, so they pushed him into that. He was McKinley's running mate in the year 1900. McKinley got reelected. McKinley gets shot by Leon Chozglov or something, and he was an anarchist. He gets shot, ends up dying. Lo and behold, Teddy becomes president. Yeah, only like 6 months into being vice president. But so that leads to my prediction.
Okay.
Because this Leon Chozglov, I'm probably butchering his last name. He was an anarchist. Yes. And there was a lot of shit going on in the 1900s, late 1800s, to the same shit that's going on right now.
Yeah.
These revolutions and these anarchists and these socialists. That's always been in our society, these little battles. Sometimes it's more prominent. But it was pretty prominent back then.
Yeah.
And so this guy guns down McKinley. into a second term, 6 months into a second term. Dude.
You think Biden's a sacrificial lamb?
No.
Oh.
I think, here's my prediction.
That's why they put somebody who's already almost dead.
I think that Trump's going to get reelected.
Yeah.
And then there's going to be an attempt on his life. If they don't, whether it's successful or not. I'm not saying don't fucking come arrest me. I don't want the guy to get assassinated. I don't have any plans to do it myself. I got other shit going on. I got to shoot trap.
We did just spend the whole first half of this podcast talking about training for shooting guns.
I know I'm going to get arrested. No, I have trap club going on.
Hitting targets with a shotgun.
I have trap club going on Tuesday nights. I'm not plotting an assassination of a president. But history repeats itself. There's a lot of fucking similar shit going on in 1900, 1901 when McKinley was shot to what's going on right now. He was reelected 6 months into his new presidency. He was assassinated by an anarchist. Dude, if this was to happen again, I'd be like, look, it fucking happened once already. Trump, there's some similarities. You could draw some similarities between Trump and McKinley and the policies and the way the world is going.
Yeah.
He gets reelected. Like, just wait, man. So come next year, this time next year.
6 months in, huh?
6 months in, if there's an assassination attempt on Trump,
they're coming to look for you, dude.
Go back and listen to this episode.
You don't want to be the guy that predicted this.
Go back and listen to this episode. I'm going to say I told you, motherfuckers.
Yeah.
So that's my big prediction. I just can't, like, I was reading, it was earlier this week, I was finishing up that book and getting into this one. I was like, holy fuck, there's so many similarities to what's going on then and now.
Well, dude, yeah, it's always
does.
You could read almost any time period and be like, holy shit, there's so much similarities.
But this one is a little eerie.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, Pence is no fucking Teddy Roosevelt.
No.
But, so that's a little off.
Man, I thought you were going, they were going to, like, put somebody, like Biden was the sacrificial lamb, and that they were going to have him assassinated. Because, you know, it's like, you can put Biden up against Trump, but he's not going to, like, make the turn. You know what I mean? It's this weird thing. It's like everyone is looking at him. Dude, one of his ads came on, and Kiele, like, was... I was playing a video, and, you know, she couldn't see the screen, so she couldn't see who it was and what it was about. And he starts talking, and, dude, he fucking, like, flubbed, like, some of his words. And I was like, dude, that's Joe Biden, and you know, and she's like, that's Joe Biden. I'm like, yeah. She's like, I thought that dude was drunk.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm like, that's the best take they could get from that dude, was him only flubbing, like, you know, 2 or 3 words. And it was funny because they had the caption, like what he was supposed to be saying underneath it. And you're like, wait a minute, that's not what he said. Anyways, so it's one of these weird things. It's like, who the fuck really thinks this guy's actually going to last the whole 4 years? But he's a name that you can put up there that can beat Trump in the short term. And so, but you get him in, he's already got 1 foot out the door.
Oh, God. Well, he's already got 1 foot in the fucking grave.
That's what I mean. You just fucking give him a little shove and he's there.
Right.
So 6 months in, you know, maybe he's not assassinated, but he fucking dies of a heart attack or whatever. And then whoever his running mate is who the Democrats, you know, really wanted in there, but they knew wouldn't be able to put up and beat Trump straight up, is boom, in power. So what do you think?
I like my prediction better.
I like your prediction. That's good.
I think there's going to be I think Trump's going to win it again. There's going to be an assassination attempt.
So you're going for the anarchists, and I'm going for the Democratic Party being completely corrupt.
We're probably both right.
I know. It's going to be a race.
It's going to be
like, we're going to kill our guy before you kill that guy. So, nah, that's interesting. I'm reading this book. I just started it, called the Osage, or anyways, it's about the Osage Indian murders. Apparently in the early 1900s, the Osage Indians who had been relocated from somewhere in Kansas to, you know, supposedly worthless land in Oklahoma. Well, oil's discovered there. And so they're getting dividend checks in, you know, the thousands of dollars. Like everyone in the tribe, like per capita, they're like some of the wealthiest people in the world, you know, if you're just looking at like their tribe compared to like other nations and countries and stuff. Anyways, so yeah, the preset to this is they start getting killed. Like somebody starts fucking knocking off members of the tribe, and they don't know who it is, and they got to call in the FBI, and the FBI is like newly formed, and they're like a bungling bunch of idiots. And, you know, so is this whole like thing how solving this murder helped kind of create the modern day FBI, and also kind of highlighted, like, again, I don't know what happened yet, but like, you know, how you know, the attitudes towards Native Americans and how this was allowed to like go as far as it was, because there ended up being like 20 some odd people getting murdered. And but they were, in the beginning of the book, they were talking about how the police were a new thing, because after the Civil War, the American citizens didn't want police departments because they were afraid that the police departments would become a tool of oppression for the government. So it wasn't until the mid-1800s, when you had more urban centers and you had like these urban riots, and basically the fear shifted from fear of the government to fear of the lesser classes, that's when the attitude changed and said, well, we need police departments. And so that's where the police came from. I thought that was fucking really super interesting historically, given the tone of today. But yeah, they were, you know, and so again, it was a brand new thing. So him being the police commissioner of New York in the late 1800s, man, that office hadn't existed for more than like maybe 20 years.
Right.
I mean, the police force in New York was a relatively new phenomenon. And so, yeah, of course they're corrupt as fuck. And so it's, but yeah, they were talking about how before that you had police, I forget, you know, justice or citizen policing. And so, you know, you still had your sheriff, you still had your judge, but the citizens would take it upon themselves to form an inquiry group. So if there was a murder, they formed an inquiry group to look into it. And it was made up of citizens. And so they investigated the murder, and they brought the evidence, and they, you know, did all that stuff. And so, like, yeah, there was a time when we had a citizen police group or thing going on. So again, it's weird, man. This thing, like, you know, I'm not saying abolish the police, but this idea that you can't exist without police isn't necessarily true.
Yeah, well, these fucking knuckleheads and Chaz just ran this social experiment just recently.
Right.
And it failed fucking miserably.
Right. But there was no citizen policing.
They tried. And there was murders, rapes. They put up walls. Just, you know what's so ironic about that? Like, they get pissed at Trump for putting up a wall around the country. They take over 6 blocks and put up walls.
Put up a wall.
They do the same fucking thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they were trying to police and shit. People were getting killed and robbed in there.
Oh, no, I know. It was a shit show.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying, but that's not representative. Because I'm saying apparently at one point in time, this country survived without police departments, like with a citizen policing element. And the things that tipped the scale weren't that wasn't working.
You think so?
That's what it was. It was like the fear of the government or the fear of the lower classes, because you had these urban centers, you had these urban riots. You know, basically you had these others that were causing problems, and you needed someone to keep them in control. And it was getting out. It was growing. The problem was growing larger than what the citizen policing could handle.
So we needed a big, more
So we needed a police group to handle the situation. And so, you know, and again, it's like, so that was the answer there. You know, another answer might be, do we really need these fucking urban centers that are carriers for disease and all sorts of crazy shit, right? It just seems like all sorts of bad stuff comes from dense urban centers.
Yep.
It never seems like, what, you know, anyways. So, but it was just, like I said, it was an interesting thing to read, because it had nothing to do, obviously, with what's going on today. And yet, in the beginning of this book was this insight into, like, holy shit. So, like, when these murders were taking place in 1900, like, you know, 1901, I think, is when the first murder took place. Or no, it was in the 1920s. So, but they had, like, a citizen inquiry group, and that's why I explained it, because it was a remnant of this former time. And so there was this weird kind of crossover time where you had a police force, but you still had a tradition of citizen policing, and the citizens taking it upon themselves to help investigate murders and robberies and you know, bring people to justice. And today it's just completely been like here, it's the police's thing to do. And so anyways, yeah, interesting. I don't know if that's necessarily the right I don't know if that was necessarily the right I'm not saying that undoing that completely is the right choice, but I'm not. It just seems to me that putting everything in the hands of the police and the citizens having no sense of civic responsibility, that's also kind of led to some of the shit that we see today, and just your people are so self-centered, and you don't think of yourself as part of a bigger group, bigger community, bigger society sort of thing.
Yeah, and then it becomes this systemic problem because you hand off responsibility to this other group, whether police or government.
Yeah.
Well, then that's where so the citizens, that's where I think a big problem of what's going on right now is there's a lack of accountability. No one's responsible for their environment or for their actions.
Yeah.
It's always somebody else's fault. Oh.
Yeah.
It is. It's like
it is. No, it totally is.
It's a vicious
There's no
circle.
way to win this
There's no way to
mindset.
win it. There's no way. It's a really vicious circle. And man, I'm not smart enough to give you an answer.
No.
But you can definitely see how one feeds the other. You're like, and it's like, fuck. Well, how do you want to do that mess?
Yeah. It's one of those. It's just like jiu-jitsu, right? Like if you're having a problem with a certain position, like misery guard, then like you have to have the right attitude towards it, but you also have to acknowledge there's a problem, and I need to try to find a solution towards this problem while not giving in to this negative feedback loop of like, oh, this is somebody else's fault, and it's like, no, man, it's, this is you need to do what you can to get out of it, and part of that may be we need to discuss and find a fucking solution to this problem, because, man, it is funny, man, I totally agree. I think, like, I'm not anti-cop, but I think that the police in general is like, they're out of fucking control. Like if you get pulled over, what's the feeling that you get? Are you just like normal, or are you a little nervous?
No, fuck no, you're always nervous, dude.
Why? That's not good. You know what I mean? On a fundamental level, like, yeah, we don't fear that like we may get fucking killed for not being the right color or whatever. But I fucking, you don't know. And the thing is, it's the culture that the police have created amongst themselves of the whole, like, this is what Malcolm Gladwell was talking about. That was the problem, one of the core problems that happened with that incident with the cop and that, lady.
Sandra Bland.
Yeah, who ended up hanging herself, was that on some level, it wasn't that he was racist. He was just doing what he was trained to do.
It was a policy.
It was a policy. And this policy of looking at the citizenry, everyone is a potential criminal. You need to find some way to pull them over or be able to make contact with them, and then look beyond the initial contact reason. Like, this is policy. And then you dig into it and you find out, like, oh, well, they get money for this policy, and there's this and there's that. And it's like, this is bullshit, man. Like, there's no reason that you should feel nervous for any reason when a fucking cop pulls you over and interacts with you. That's unacceptable, I think. So something needs to change. But
yeah, it needs to be a fundamental shift in the way policing is done.
Making it, calling it racism is almost too simple and lets people off the fucking hook.
Right.
Because you don't have to change what the fundamental problem is. You just have to look like you're being anti-racist.
Right.
And that's not the same thing. Like, you're not creating change that way. And like, that's my big fear with this whole thing is like,
I think you hit it right on the head. You said something right there that's really frustrating me is, it needs to be a fundamental change at its root. All this shit we're seeing right now is all just fucking virtue signaling, man. Like taking Gone with the Wind off HBO. Yeah. This, like, dude, first of all, who the fuck was trying to watch that movie anyways? And who gives a fuck with that? It's a movie on some streaming service. You know what I mean? Like, they do all this shit. It's all so much fucking virtue signaling.
Yeah.
Like bands changing their names. And it's like, motherfucker, none of this is going to fix the problem, man.
Yeah.
None of this is...
Dude, listen to this shit. The hypocrisy, though. The other night I'm watching one of these random channels, and it's some cowboy channel, and they had some old Western come on. And this was... The old Western, the theme was Custer and Little Bighorn. And we know today Custer was a fucking asshole. He was a bastard. On some level, he deserved to fucking get killed, right? Would you agree?
Agree, yeah.
You're watching this movie and he's the hero. This is some old black and white one in the early 1900s, right? He's the fucking hero. He's the like, I'm here to impose order on this fort and these Indians. You know, they feel that we've taken their hunting grounds and they have no choice but to declare war on us. Well, we'll show them now, won't we? And he's got his wife who follows him around in her little dress. And she's like, anywhere with you is fine, sweetie. It's just like totally over the top. They've got a white girl playing the lead Indian who probably falls in love with Custer. I didn't watch the whole thing, but I'm like, I guarantee you there's some fucking Indian that falls in love with one of the white guys and they couldn't find an Indian to play it. So they had to find a white girl to play the Indian. You know, they had some Indians in it, actually, which was cool to see. That was like why I wanted to watch the little bit that I did, was because you actually got to see fucking real Indians playing Indians. But again, a lot of it was this like, how white man bullshit, right? And it's like, they're taking Gone with the Wind off, but this fucking movie's still on, and I don't want them to take it off.
Right.
I don't want them to take it off. I think, and again, for people who don't know, like like I have some American Indian blood. Like I'm a registered member of the Choctaw Nation of Oklahoma. So like I feel some of that pain, of just this, that stereotyping and how they were looked at and treated and shit like that. But I think that it's good for us to keep it as like a historical reference. Like, we learned from this.
Right.
Like, that's the thing. Like,
you gotta learn from your mistakes.
You can't erase the mistakes.
You can't pretend they didn't happen.
Right. Because then there's nothing to learn from.
We're not going to progress as a society getting rid of our mistakes.
Yeah.
You can't go back and undo them.
Yeah.
They happened.
Yes.
We have to admit, okay, yeah, we fucked up. This was this really bad way to operate. We see we used to operate that. Let's move forward. Just getting rid of it, what are you going to do? Pretend it didn't happen?
Dude, when I don't know if you heard this, but like one of the statues they fucking ripped down in San Francisco was Ulysses S. Grant.
Uh-huh.
He was the fucking leader of the Northern armies who freed the slaves.
Yep.
But before that, he married into a slave-owning family, and he owned some slaves for a brief period of time. So therefore, you need to erase his... And it's like, the greatest people out there became great because they fucking learned from a mistake.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, the heroes fuck up, and they learn from those mistakes, and that's what makes them heroes. And this idea that, like, if you're not perfect from day one and have done nothing wrong, therefore you can't be looked up to. It's like, holy shit, obviously he learned.
No one's going to stand up to that scrutiny.
No one.
None of us are perfect.
It's like this whole thing with like, let's go back and see if anyone did blackface back in the day. And now we're going to fucking crucify them. You saw him try to crucify Joe Rogan for not saying something to Joey Diaz.
Yeah, I haven't caught up with that. I didn't know what was going on. I heard Joey Diaz talking a little bit about like people trying to cancel him, and you can't cancel Joey Diaz.
No.
He's like, you cocksuckers, you can suck my dick.
Yeah.
He's a foul dude.
See,
what were they trying to... I don't understand what happened.
He said something, this was a few years ago, said something about, to the effect of making chicks that wanted to get on stage, give him a blowjob or something like that, right? Again, see, you're laughing about
Joey Diaz.
If you don't know Joey Diaz, you don't know. Like, he says outrageous shit.
He's just to
get a rise out of you. Now, some of the shit he says is true, but some of it's just to get a rise. And for you to treat everything he's saying as true means that you don't know him. And he may have just been saying something to get a fucking rise out of Rogan. Rogan don't know.
Right.
And Rogan laughed at it. Right? He did what you did.
Okay.
And he didn't say something to Joey Diaz about why that's not right and why you shouldn't treat women this way.
Oh, God.
And yeah, man. It's funny, man. It's weird, man. I don't know if Joe enjoys this new public spotlight that he bought for himself for $100 million. Mm-hmm. He's a different dude.
It's a different
$100 million buys you a seat in the public eye.
Yep.
And
I've already been, because like, I listen to that every time an episode comes out, I listen to podcasts roughly 6 hours a day, just all the time I spend in the truck.
Yeah.
I've already seen a shift in the way he's communicating, and it's going to change, man.
Think so?
Oh, it's already changing.
I
can sense it. Like
you've listened to more than I have, for sure.
Yeah,
like I pick episodes here and there.
Dude, I've listened to fucking every episode of that podcast from like episode 200 on. I've tried to go back before then, but the sound quality was so terrible.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it. But dude, I've been listening to it for years now. Yeah, it's shifting already. He is definitely being very careful into how he says things.
Yeah.
And how they come across, and especially with this whole Black Lives Matter thing and all this. Like, he is being over the top cautious.
I mean, I think he just... And maybe that... I think he just is correctly reading the cultural tone of the time. Like, this is like the reign of terror after the French Revolution. Mm-hmm. Like, they were just looking for people to drag to the guillotine.
Yeah, and that's what I'm getting at. Like, because he just made this big ass deal, so he's got a fuckload of money coming in, and people are headhunting right now.
Yeah,
they see someone really successful like him, this middle-aged white bald guy. They're just waiting for him to fuck up, so they can try to cancel him.
They've been trying to fucking get after him for...
And he's not a dumb guy.
No.
And he's aware of that. He's very aware of that. He's trying... It seems like, this obviously just my fucking meathead opinion, but it seems... I mean, obviously he's aware of that, but he's trying not to let it change too much of how he behaves and acts on the podcast, but it's
hard not to.
It's hard not to,
It's hard not to, man.
It's hard not to. He just got a good little nest egg. He is set for the rest of his life, as long as he didn't... His kids are set. More power to him, man. But there's going to be people headhunting for him. Yeah. So he's got to be careful. And any of us would act the same way. Any of us, yeah. It's going to change the culture.
Man, I'll on a small scale, like me with Bike James, I'll admit I've undergone the same thing. Like, when I was originally out there, man, like, I would say shit just to rile people up. And I would fucking get into, comment battles with people going back and forth. And it just wears you out.
Yeah.
And so then you start realizing, man, if I, and you can't help. Like, I think about it, and it frustrates me sometimes because I think about the original Bike James and I think about Bike James today, and they're not necessarily the same character. And I'm often like, man, I should just go back to that. But, like, I can't. I can't. I don't, when I try to, I'm just like, man, I know what's going to happen. I know exactly what's going to happen. Mm-hmm. And I just don't have the fucking time and energy for it. So I'm going to put my time and energy into different directions. I'm still trying to be myself, and I don't mind stirring up shit, but you just have to be more aware of, okay, this is just going to stir up shit, and it may not actually do anything. This may actually do something and help somebody, and it's going to stir up some shit. And so you just become more conscious of just making sure that you're making these decisions and you're not doing too much stuff where you're like creating shit for yourself for no payoff. Whereas back in the day, it's like you don't know, and you got the time and energy, and you're like, I like fighting these motherfuckers. Yeah, fuck you, motherfucker. I'll just say shit to make you say stupid shit, And I would just go on Facebook and post the random Couples pedal suck or whatever, just to get people riled up and get an argument going. And so I that's why, I once you said that, I've noticed the same thing, but that's been my interpretation. Mm-hmm. I mean, from the beginning, they tried to get him for testing. The fact that he had access to testing and poor people didn't. They tried to hold him up as this example of how the disparity in the U.S. over testing, access to testing. And he's like, motherfucker, I got the money to pay for them. No one's giving them to me. I'm paying for them. I'm buying them. And then the Bill Burr thing with the mask. And he was pulling a Joey Diaz.
He was trying to get fucking Bill Burr riled up.
Yeah, and again, if you don't know Joe Rogan...
And you don't know Bill Burr, and how funny, dude, it's fun just to get that guy spun up and listen to him rant.
Yeah.
His part. I don't know, have you ever listened to Bill Burr's Monday Morning Podcast? No, It's a solo podcast. He never interviews anybody. He just gets on there and he rants. Oh, dude, you'll be fucking rolling, man. Because he's a funny fucking dude. And so, and when you have a friend like that in your life, and it's good just to get him spun up and watch him go. I try to do it to you sometimes on here.
Oh, yeah. You just throw something out there, get it going a little bit, and sit back.
Up and sit back.
It's funny, man. I can tell sometimes when you're just sitting there and you're sitting back watching me, and I'm like, that motherfucker did it again. I'm like, in this big old monologue here, all worked up, and he's smiling over there. Shit, dude. But... yeah, man, he's common. The people looking at Joe, they remind me of... It's like when the UFC signed with ESPN, mm-hmm. all of a sudden you got a whole different set of eyeballs on it and a whole set of different people covering it. And you can tell, some people just don't understand the sport. Mm-hmm. Some people just don't get how, what it's about. And so, you know, you get these people covering it and saying ridiculous stuff and doing it, you know, and it's kind of the same thing, man. You just don't, you're the eyeballs. If you don't know Joe, then you're going to say stupid shit because you don't understand his show and what he does. And, you know, same thing with UFC. If you don't understand MMA, God, what was it, man? I was reading, you know, obviously it's like just the bloodlust of the fans. I don't know. It was an article not too long ago. And it's like, really, in this day and age, we're still just saying that anyone who likes MMA has this bloodlust, and that's why we like it, is for this bloodlust. Mm-hmm. It's like, what? How the fuck do you have people who call themselves journalists who can still write shit like this? But it's because people still believe it. But so,
yeah.
Anyways, so there you go. We ended up talking some political shit.
We did. We've steered away from this for like 2 or 3 episodes, pretty easy.
Yeah. Yeah.
We just had to dive right back in. Well, see, I wanted to steer it that way because
it was the Teddy Roosevelt. And then I had my insight. I was like, oh, yeah.
Well, I wanted to make sure to get my prediction out there that what's going to happen.
Dude, I don't know what's going to happen. I really don't. All I know is I hope The Rock runs. So, like, I don't like if there's ever a chance for a third-party candidate, like, this would be it. Where's Richard Pryor and Brewster's Millions when you need them, man? None of the above.
None of the above.
Pay for none of the above. That's what he wasn't gonna run. He was just gonna have none of the above put, which was
who knows, man.
Good fucking vote. So, yeah.
I don't know. I say we call that a wrap. I don't want to think anymore about it. Eat a little snack. Go train.
Yeah.
I'm ready to go train today.
I'm ready to go train.
I didn't get to train last night. Got stuck at work.
I know. It was a bunch of white belts and. Then, who was there? Trey was there. Oh, yeah, Big Chris and George were there.
I know, I bummed I didn't get to train with those guys.
Yeah, that was good fun. Chris is so funny, man. Like, he just loves to play the leg lock game. Mm-hmm. And that's great because he's also a big dude. If he gets on top of you, will squash you. Mm-hmm. And so, if I can lure him into a leg lock battle...
He's not on top of you.
He's not on top of me, man. Yeah, exactly. So, I always laugh about that. I'm always like, dude, I'm so glad he... You know, because it's fun. Like, someone else who knows the leg lock game, like, if you really are like, all right, man, like, we're going to go at it. We're going to see who's going to get the other one first. It can be fun. It's an intricate, like, fun thing to do. And not necessarily everybody likes to do it and has the skill to do it. So, it's always fun. Like, that's one of the reasons I like rolling with him is because, you know, we get in those...
He's a fun training partner, man.
Yeah, dude. And it's like, dude, if you fuck up, he's gonna suck. He's gonna get you with something. Mm-hmm. And yeah, he's a super fun training partner. But yeah, that was. I remember you telling me he's not in his fighting weight.
No.
And so
he's a big boy.
Yeah, halfway through, I was like, dude, I'm so glad he still likes to play leg locks. I was afraid he's gonna get on top of me, and that was gonna be it.
Yeah, he got on top of me a couple times. It was trouble, boy. I think the only reason I got out is because he let me out.
Yeah. No, yeah, he said him and George has just been training no-gi. Mm-hmm. They just train with each other pretty much. They don't really have a gym they train at anymore. So, just
that's good. That means we'll see a lot of them, hopefully.
Yeah.
In theory.
Fuck yeah, man. So, anyways, right on. Well, cool. I guess that's it.
See ya.
See ya.
Thank you for listening to the Grumpy Guy BJJ Podcast.
Thank you all for listening. You can find us on Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever else you listen to podcasts. Please make sure to subscribe and leave us a review. It really does help and will allow us to keep putting out episodes. If you have any questions, comments, or ideas, hit us up at grumpyguybjj@gmail.com. Also, go to our website, grumpyguybjj.com, and get signed up for podcast updates and get our free BJJ Improvement Starter Kit. That's it for now. So get on the mat, train hard, and talk to you all next week. With a permanent rep, a hermit now, boom. Doggy stool, foggy, cool, got a froggy outside Molly, dude. Melancholy, Daisy, dude. Hanging by the lace of their shoes. No trace of the tools. Shaped in your face, fuck the rules. Snooze, you lose. One eye always open, in times two. No clue, but soon a brief monsoon might give you a view to choose. Stay tuned, include, won't conclude. To the end is near, beware there's consequences for what you do. To me, demon, a devil of many levels, I keep on feeding.